Durga Devi Namaha. Om Durga Devi Namaha. Om Durga Devi Namaha. Namaste, Mataji. Hey, Tuvies, it's Psychic Bob. Well, welcome to Wiccan Wednesday. I was just here chanting some mantras and prayers to the great goddess. You'll say, who is that? This is one of the most ancient of goddesses. Her name is Durga, or Durga in American English, but the Hindus pronounce it with a little trill, Durga. And Durga is the most powerful and ancient of goddesses. Now, you know, I told you last week, I said, this week we're going to talk about some protective goddesses. And so today we're going to talk about Goddess Durga and Goddess Kali, who are technically two different goddesses, yet technically also one goddess. Let me show you what we got here. Now, this is the Goddess Durga. And you'll always notice the Goddess Durga because she wears brilliant red and gold clothing. And you'll see she always has a lot of arms with a lot of weapons. And in this case, you see her killing this green person here. This is a demon who was, I think his name was Mahasura. I'm trying to remember the name. But he was a demon. I forget his name. Well, you know, I never think about evil much. So, but he was taking the form of a buffalo. He's a demon, and he took the form of a buffalo. And what's interesting is this demon rose in power to become the most powerful demon. And it was only Kali Ma, the goddess, Durga Ma, well, Kali Ma also, but Durga, who saved the world from this demon. Now, let me kind of give you some backstory. In the Hindu tradition, like I guess most world religions, it went through a period of being very, patriarchal, male-dominated. And what's very interesting is that patriarchal, male-dominated tradition came to an end with the prevalence, the revelation of Durga. Durga is the most powerful form of all the gods, and the power of the gods manifests in a female form as a goddess. So let me give you the backstory, and this is kind of the abbreviated version. Those of you who are Hindu probably know much more than I do. But basically, there was a demon, and that's him there, who became so powerful, he was starting to kill all the people of the earth. And he took the form of a buffalo. And so he took the form, and he would go into villages in India and just trample all the huts and the houses and just gore the people to death. People tried to fight him. They tried to use swords on him. They tried to shoot him with arrows. You know, everything you could think of. And the people became very desperate because many lives were being lost. So what did they do? Like all people of faith, they prayed. And they called on all the great gods. They prayed to Lord Vishnu, to Lord Shiva, and to Lord Brahma, and to many other gods. But the three principal of the Hindu Trinity is Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva tried to intervene, and they're very, very powerful. Even they could not stop him. So the gods found themselves in a state of perplexion. And they said, well, if we can't stop them, we have to come up with a new solution. So they put their minds together and they said, we must create a new form of power. And all of them, from their third eye, beamed a ray of light. So Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva beamed a ray of light, and other gods too joined this. And out of it, that ball of light that emerged out of those rays of light, came the goddess Durga. She was the only being in the cosmos able to defeat this evil demon. And so many times she showed killing a buffalo. Now, she doesn't kill animals. She killed a demon who took the form of a buffalo. Okay? Now, what's interesting in Hinduism, which people say, well, that's evil. She still killed somebody. That guy looks like he's suffering. In Hinduism, if a god or goddess kill you, your soul is ultimately liberated from your evil. So this evil demon, by being slayed by Goddess Durga, was liberated from his evil karma and released into moksha, freedom of the spirit, and now dwells as a saint. But she had to kill him for him to receive that liberation. And as she killed him, she saved the world from the rise of evil. And so today in India, Goddess Durga is praised as the great and ancient mother. Many of the ancient temples have images of her. And one of the things that you'll see repeatedly is that in association with Durga worship, they use a lot of times red or gold powder, yellow powder called kumkum. Kumkum is made from turmeric, which is an herb, which we're going to talk about that a little later. But you'll notice the bright red color, vermilion. You'll see this all over India on the statues of the gods. In fact, I'm going to put up some pictures here from India of the goddess in her statue form with some of the kumkum on her. So take a look at this. So there you go. That's some more of Goddess Durga. And I have to tell you, I have a personal love of this goddess because she was the first goddess I ever prayed to and ever developed faith in. See, many years ago, over 20 years ago now, before I was a Wiccan. I didn't know about Wicca, and I lived near a Hindu temple. And so I got invited to go to the Hindu temple, and I went over there, and it was really fascinating. They had a beautiful Murti statue of the goddess Durga, and the priest there taught me about her. She was a great goddess. I said, wow, I'd never really thought about praying to a goddess. So I did prayers to her, and I felt her presence. And it was really quite a mystery to me. Well, a few weeks later, we had a very big festival called Durga Puja. And Durga Puja is a big festival. It's held all over India where they worship the goddess, and particularly in her form as Goddess Durga. And so the priest said, hey, we need some volunteers. Can you help serve at the Durga festival, the Durga Puja? I said, hey, yeah, why not? Well, I got there. They put me in priest robes and had me actually serving at the altar. And I would give out blessings with the kumkum, with the red dot on people's head. And I would tie the Rakhi. This is a red bracelet. This is often associated with Hindu protection. So I would tie this on them and chant the name of Durga. And so that was my first experience of the goddess. Now, later on, I moved away. I was no longer at the temple. But I never forgot my connection to this great and powerful goddess. And when I started studying Wicca, they started talking about the goddess. And I said, oh, I get this. Oh my God, I know about the goddess. Oh my goddess. I know about the goddess. And so I've had an ongoing love affair with Durga and also with her counterpart Kali, which we'll talk about in a minute. But here's another picture of Durga. Now Durga can take fiercer forms or milder forms. This is one of her fiercer forms. And she's got all these weapons. Here's a milder form. She has some weapons, but she's a little more peaceful looking. Now, Durga, you will notice, is always seen riding either a tiger or a lion. Here she's with a lion, but she can also ride a tiger. And in this picture, she rides a tiger. And you'll notice that in each of her hands there are weapons. Now, I'll explain what these are. Back here is a chakra. It's a spinning wheel of light. This was given to her by Lord Vishnu. It was his weapon. Here she has a shell, which was given to her by Lord Brahma. And this is the staff of Lord Shiva. So Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu gave her weapons. And this is a club. I believe this was from Lord Hanuman, gave her that. And then she has a sword, which is her own tool. And she has a bow and arrow from Lord Rama. So as I said, many gods gave her weapons to empower her. And so to this day, when you see a statue of Durga, many times you'll see her holding these weapons. And it's a sign that she was anointed and blessed by all the gods. And she is the great goddess. In fact, the gods bow to her. And it's interesting because, as I said, the patriarchal view that only God was male in Hinduism really took a shift after the emergence of Durga, and now to where she's really, in many places, considered the ultimate power. Even the gods bow to her. There's a whole sect of Hinduism called Shaktism, or Shakta, the Shakta sect, and they worship Durga in various manifestations of her. And I guess if I were to be a Hindu, which I'm kind of half Hindu anyways, I would be a Shakta because I worship the Great Mother. So, anyways, as I said, you'll always notice that she wears brilliant red clothing. I don't think I've ever seen Durga in any color other than red. And in India, red is considered the color of the Shakti power, the Shakti, which is the power of divinity. And as I said, many things are red for blessing and protection. The red Rakhi, the bandon for protection. So that's one form of the goddess. Now, if you wanted to work with Goddess Durga, you would probably want to get a picture of her for an altar. Now, I printed this picture off the internet. I mean, nowadays, you know, the images in the printers are so good. So there's an image that I just printed and I put in a frame. And you can do that too. So that's one way to start a worship. Just, you know, her shrines don't have to be complex. Basically, you want to have a table. It's traditional, though not mandatory, that you drape it in red cloth, that you have an image of Durga. It could be a statue or a picture. They sell statues too of her. Or if you want to build a bigger shrine, like I have this actually as part of a bigger shrine that I took it out of. I have a large altar with Durga in one of my other rooms. And so I disassembled that right now because I'm renovating the room. But when I have it rebuilt, I'll show it to you. But you could get any size of picture, from a little picture to a giant picture. I happen to like big pictures, so this is my giant Durga picture. And then what you want to do is offer prayers to her. Just talk to her like you talk to anybody, because she is a great mother, a protectress, a goddess of love. Even though she takes a fierce form, she takes that to protect her devotees. So if you are a person seeking spiritual blessings, and especially if you need protection, and who in this world doesn't need protection, you can pray to Durga and she will protect you. I know she saved my life many times, her and Mother Kali. Well, so that's one protective goddess. Now, let's switch over. We're going to talk about Goddess Kali. Many of you have heard me talk about Kali, but you may not understand how that fits in. Goddess Durga also had another battle. This is the battle of the buffalo demon. But there was later on another battle where there was a battle with a demon called Raktabija. Raktabija is his name. I can never say the name. Raktabija was even more powerful than the buffalo demon. And all the gods, and even Goddess Durga, could not beat this demon, because every time she would attack him and stab him or try to chop his head off, the blood that would spurt out of his body formed new demons. So can you imagine, for every drop of blood, there's a new demon? Well, how many drops of blood are just in one cut? Okay. So the demons were multiplying many, many fold. And during the middle of the battle, the goddess Durga stopped. And she went into a rage, like a roar. And her roar was so powerful, it literally shattered mountains. And when she sent out that roar, out from her third eye, you see this little dot here, it's hard to see, but it's a little dot on her forehead. Let me show you on this picture. You see that dot, that red dot? That's her third eye between her eyebrows. Out of that emerged a ray of light. And from that ray of light emerged the dark goddess, Kali. I got to put up Kali here for you. Give me just a minute. I'll be right back with you. Hang on. And behold, from the goddess Durga emerged another goddess from a ray of light. And this was the goddess Kali, or sometimes called Kalima, which means Mother Kali. Many people treat them as two different goddesses because, well, it's a different person. But truthfully, they're really one and the same, just aspects of the goddess. The goddess Kali, when she emerged, was different than Durga. Durga's complexion was fine and fair, golden and white, like you see here. But as her rage built, she started to darken. Now this picture here of Durga, you'll notice, is a darker. And from her emerged the goddess Kali, who was black in form, or sometimes described as dark blue. And the difference between Durga and Kali is that Kali was just insanely violent. She slaughtered so many demons that she literally stopped the rise of demonic power. And unlike Goddess Durga, Durga always arrives and dressed like a queen in beautiful gold, jewels, and silk, red silk. Mother Kali is practically naked. She might have an animal skin around her, and she has a skirt of human hands, arms of demons, and a garland of skulls. And so she's a much considered even more fierce form of the goddess. Basically, I wouldn't want to cross either of them because they're both powerful and they can kick some serious butt. Really, I'm serious. But these are the goddess Durga and Kali, and I actually honor both of them. Goddess Kali is oftentimes described as a primal goddess, the goddess of the origin of all of the cosmos. It's like the inner power of Durga is Kali. And it's said that it is from the Shakti power. Shakti is a goddess power, Devi. Sometimes goddess, the Hindu word for goddess is Devi, meaning goddess. So that they say that the cosmos originated actually from the power of Shakti or Devi. And I think that's true. As a Wiccan, we say that the goddess, from her emerged the god. And so there's a saying in Wicca that, and maybe you've seen it's a bumper sticker and sometimes on t-shirts, says, "My goddess gave birth to your god." And this is in the Shakta tradition of Hinduism. They say the same thing, that it's really from the goddess, the primordial darkness of the outer space, that all life emerged. And Kali represents the primordial beginning. In the Bible, how it says, "In first there was darkness and the spirit moved across the dark waters of the earth." Go look that up at the beginning of Genesis in the Bible. It's a beautiful passage, actually. Whether you're Christian or not, or Jewish or not, it's just beautiful. And I think there's truth in it. And it talks about the primordial beginning, that in the beginning there's nothing but darkness and water, and the spirit began to move on the water, and then light emerged and life began. That's in the Bible. This actually very much matches the cosmogony of the Hindu faith, that in the Shakta tradition, that the goddess was the primordial spirit that moved and life came from the waters of the causal ocean of the cosmos. So you see, really, when we get down to it, so many of the religions are teaching the same truth. And it just behooves me to figure out how, we have all this religious interfighting. A lot of the Christians say, "Oh, the Hindus are all evil, they're going to hell." And the Hindus say the Christians don't know what they're talking about. And all the world religions fight. When really, if you really study the beginning, you'll find out, wow, they share a lot more in common than we realize. Now, if you wanted to have an altar to the goddess Kali, now let me tell you, you can worship either of them or both of them, and neither one is above the other. So don't say, "Oh, I feel guilty because I worship Kali, but I don't worship Durga." Sometimes in the West we get into this kind of loyalty thing. Like, should I worship this one or that one, and will one be offended? The goddess is one, whatever form you worship her. So don't worry if you feel more drawn to Kali or you feel more drawn to Durga in your worship. They're each the same and will love you no matter what, okay? Or like me, you can honor both of them. That's why I have both of their pictures. Even though they're one, they have each distinct facets. So, as I said, Durga Ma is spoken of as having a golden complexion. She represents the power of the goddess in its bright aspect. Goddess Kali represents the power of the goddess in her dark aspect. So if you were thinking of it in Western terms, like we talk about in Wicca, like she would be like the full moon and she'd be like the dark moon. Now, we know in the Western Wiccan tradition that the full moon and the dark moon have equal power, just different focuses, that's all. Same thing with these two goddesses. Now, if you wanted to set up an altar to the goddess Kali, traditional colors for her are red and black. So you might have an altar cloth draped in black or red. You could have red and black candles on the altar. You can have also kumkum, or, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes, turmeric on the altar. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. That's a whole nother subject. So for the goddess Durga, an altar to her would traditionally be done in shades of red and gold. Think of her as I said, the full moon. So her altar colors would be brighter, bright, shiny golds, lame, gold lame, shining red. Kali's a darker, maybe a little deeper, darker red and black. Okay, so that's kind of the colors. And in terms of working with gemstones, Mother Kali's special stone is the ruby. And I've also heard that Durga loves the ruby. So ruby stones or garnets or any red stone would be just perfect for either of them. Okay. And so as you honor them as separate or as one, either way, they'll love you. But I'm telling you, as somebody who's worked with them for a lot of years, over 20 years, I love Durga. I love Kali. They have saved me more times than I care to count. And as many of you know, I've been through a lot the last few years with actually attempts on my life. And I'm telling you, I have prayed to these goddesses and I have survived. And I'm still here with you because of them. So I always say the proof is in the pudding. Try them out, get to know them. A lot of people will say, oh, I'm too scared to work with Kali. She's so dark. Oh my God, I'm terrified. Listen, the darkness of Kali is only to be feared if you're an evil person. If you're a good person and you're in need, and especially if you're a female, they take a special liking to females. Like if you're a female and you're in an abusive relationship, let's say you have a husband who's trying to beat you to death and is abusive, you can pray to Mother Kali and she'll get you out of that situation. Maybe you're, a man who is also an abusive. Sometimes men end up in the worst situations. I know that I've seen men in jobs where their bosses just destroy them, You can pray to the goddesses and they'll help you. They help men as well. So you don't have to just be for women, but their power is that of a mother, a fierce protective mother. So if you get a little scared looking at it and say, oh my God, it's a little scary. Well, that's only for the enemies. When you go to them, they put down their weapons and they'll embrace you. Okay? Now, another way to worship and honor the goddess we're going to talk about next. Stay here as I get set up for that. Okay, now earlier I showed you the video of the Kali or the Durga statues that were covered with the red powder and red paste. That red powder is called kumkum, K-U-M-K-U-M, kumkum. Kumkum is made in India for worship of the goddess. That is where the red dots come that people put on their brows. Now, a lot of people don't know kumkum is actually made from the herb turmeric. And let me show you my turmeric here. This is turmeric. It is a, see if you can see, I don't want to spell it. It's a bright yellow herb, okay? Now, let me tell you, if you're going to work with this, turmeric is a permanent stain. If you get it on your clothes, it will not come out. And I've spilled enough on my clothes over the year to tell you. So please, don't wear your best clothes when you do this. Wear stuff you don't care if it gets ruined. In fact, I shouldn't be wearing this sweater. It's my favorite sweater, but I'm going to take a risk today. So, to get the red kumkum, you have to buy that from an Indian store. There's a chemical process they put the turmeric through that turns it bright red. If you have an Indian store anywhere in your neighborhood, like that sells Indian food, they will carry turmeric. Every Indian grocery market carries turmeric, carries kumkum, excuse me. But they also use the yellow form in the worship of the goddess, particularly with Goddess Kali. So if you can't find kumkum, which is ideal for the worship of the goddess, you can equally use turmeric. And remember last week I bought this. Some of you were with me on my Vlog Thursday video. I went and bought this. This is just regular turmeric. You can buy this at any grocery store in America or Canada or Europe. And basically what you want to do is just put a little bit in a bowl. Now go light on this because a little bit goes a long way. Okay, so I'm going to just do this for demonstration purposes. Okay, so there I have in my bowl a little sprinkling of turmeric. By the way, I'll probably have to do a whole nother video, but turmeric is excellent for anti-inflammatory. It heals arthritis. If you have like inflamed arteries, like you have heart problems, you have cancer, this is the magic herb. And you can just eat it and it will heal you. I know that whenever I'm feeling very ill, because of like a directed energy weapon attack, I eat turmeric and all my pain goes away. Now, this is a very simple process. So you want to get a bowl. Use a bowl that you don't care if it gets stained, because this will probably stain even porcelain. I'm using an old plastic bowl. And then all you want to do is add water to it. Just a tiny bit of water, not a lot, because you want to make a turmeric paste. So we're going to add just a few drops of water to this. Oops, that might be just too much. And then you want to take a spoon, all my good spoons. I'm using a Hindu spoon because this is what I used to use in the temple. And you just want to mix that turmeric into the water. Now, if it gets too watery, just add a little more turmeric to it. You don't need a lot because a little bit goes a long way. And I'm just going to stir that up, as you can see. I used to do this in the temple, the Hindu temple, because they made me a part-time pujari. I was one of the temple priests. So I was in charge of the Goddess Durga shrine. And I used to do this every week when I worked there on the weekends. And I used to make up the paste. If we ran out of turmeric, kumkum, which is the red turmeric, I use golden turmeric because both are essential or applicable to the goddess worship. I just want to mix that up to make it a kind of a soft paste. Now, can you guys see this here? It's a soft, it's hard to show here on camera, that spell, but it's a paste, kind of pasty, okay? And you can do this, and then traditionally what you do is once you mix it, like when I would do it at the temple, I would mix it up, and then I would set it on the altar of Goddess Durga or Kali, whoever I was working with that day. And I would offer to them, and I would ask their blessing. So I'd say, Goddess Durga, Goddess Kali, will you grant your blessing on this holy paste, that it will be the sign of your blessing, and may your power carry with it, and may all who are anointed with this receive your blessing. And that would be our prayer. Namaste. And then once you mix this up, see, now you have a holy substance. It's considered a sacrament in the Hindu faith. And what you do is you take your third finger, okay, your ring finger on your right hand, and it's traditionally used this finger because it's considered a power for anointing. And you dip it in the turmeric, all right? And then between the third eye, people would come up to the altar. I'd take my finger, third finger, and just touch them here. And then I'd usually chant, Om Durga Namaha, which means, hail to Goddess Durga. And then you have a beautiful little dot. Now, you can do this in red or yellow. Particularly with Goddess Kali, yellow is important. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Try to get it nice looking. Mine's a little crooked here. It's hard to do this and watch a film. But as you see, I have a little bindu now. Okay? And so this is one way you can seek the power of the goddess, because when you make this in concert, it's now a sacrament. And so when you put it on your forehead, you're receiving unto the power of the goddess, the blessing and her protection. Because in the Hindu tradition, when you offer a substance to a god, the god's power literally enters into that substance. That's why it's a sacrament. Similar to the Catholic Church. In the Catholic Church, they believe that the Christ enters into the bread and the wine. And that when you take communion, you're absorbing his true self, his true body and blood. Same thing in Hinduism. The power of the goddess is in this paste. And now we can take it and wear it for our anointing. So you just put it on. Throughout the day, you can touch it up. You can do it a few times a day. Oops, sometimes I got a little bit much. But there you go. And now I have the mark of the goddess. And I know a lot of devout Hindus who literally wear this throughout the day. They just put it on. And so this is one way you can experience and express your faith in the goddess. Now, you might say, well, do I have to be Hindu to wear that? No. Even non-Hindus are given the mark. When you go to the temple, what happens is you go to Hindu, you go to the altar, there's a priest, like I would be sitting up there, and I would have this with me. And people that go there know all the time. You just walk, you bow, and then you get anointed. They touch your forehead, and then they chant a mantra, and they tie the bracelet on you. And that's what they do. That's the way you get blessings when you go to the temple. So like I actually was trained to do that, and I would sit at the altar like of Goddess Durga, and people would come and I would bow to them and say namaste, how are you? And I would take it and I would anoint them, and I'd say, blessing of the goddess be upon you. I'd say Om Durgaya Namaha, and then I would do the chant of mantra Om Durgaya Namaha as I tied the Rakhi on them. And so that's how you receive sacraments in the Hindu traditions. And I think that it's a very beautiful tradition, and one that I've kept in my life. Even though these days I'm a Wiccan, I don't live near any Hindu temples, and I joined the Wiccan movement. I still think it's relevant because in Wicca we worship the goddess, and in Wicca we say you can have whatever goddess you want. I happen to have embraced Durga and Kali as the goddess in my life. I love a lot of gods. I love Isis. I love Kali. I love them all. But this Durga here, the red dressed one, she is the very first goddess I ever encountered, ever prayed to. So she has a special place in my heart. So that's why sometimes I'll just get up and I'll do an offering and I'll wear her mark on my forehead. I've ordered some kumkum. It should be here next week. So I'll show you what it looks like to wear the red kumkum, and I'll mix that. I'm show you how to do that. But this is a very simple way that you can anoint yourself every day. Some people say, God, Bob, aren't you worried going public? Won't people think you're weird wearing that? Actually, no, because it's such a universal symbol. Most people recognize a Hindu symbol now. And so they just think, oh, you're Hindu. And, I guess I am kind of half Hindu because I've always loved the goddess since I learned her at the Hindu temple. Even though formally I'm a Wiccan, I'm not formally a Hindu. I never, was actually converted formally to the full faith. Hindu spirituality has always been a part of my life. So, I still wear the dot, and you can too. So these are some of the most powerful and protective goddesses. I want to introduce those to you today, and I hope this gives you a little bit of insight. I'm going to put some pictures here at the end of just some more pictures of the goddess and Hindu images with the kumkum and different things, and you can take a look at that. Anyway, so if you want to make your anointing paste and you can't find kumkum, you can buy it on the internet, on Amazon and on eBay. Just type in K-U-M, kumkum, and you can buy it already mixed. And if you can't do that, just go to your local grocery store and find turmeric. It's considered a valid form of the worship. Many people, what they do is they'll bring like whole jars of this, like to the temple. Like I saw one lady one time, she brought like a Xerox box filled with bottles of kumkum and turmeric, and gave it to the temple as a gift. So that's a valid offering. You can bring that to your temple as a gift as well as an offering. So anyways, I hope this has given you some insight. And by the way, just a question, just so you know, it is tradition in Hinduism that if you make this up, that you can't use it the next day. It has to be made fresh every day. So like this that I made up, if I need to touch myself, I can do it up till tonight, but by tomorrow morning, I have to throw this out and make new paste. So every day it must be made fresh. Okay, so that's why I said don't make a lot, because you're going to have to throw it out at the end of the day, because it doesn't really last, and it's really considered an offering. So it should be a fresh offering every day to the goddess. All right, one more point, forgot to add. Okay, so make it fresh every day. Just make a little. I have just a little bit. I haven't used a quarter. I mean, I used just a sprinkling from this jar, and so I got a lot of paste just from that little dusting. So as you can see, I'm set. Anyways, thank you guys for being here. I love you. I hope wherever you are, you're having an awesome day, and may the blessings of Durga and Kali be upon all of you, and may you be guided, protected, and travel always in their light. So mote it be. Blessed be. We'll see you back here tomorrow for Vlog Thursday. I don't know where we're going to go, but we're going to go somewhere. Just come and hang out with us. And by the way, if you want to get on my schedule for a reading, I still have a few openings for this next week. Give me a call, 703-825-3929. Again, Bob Hickman, 703-825-3929. Link will be below. Visit my website, www.psychicbob.com. Look forward to seeing you guys. You rock. We'll see you here tomorrow. Until then, may you all always blessed be. Oh, don't forget to like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell for updates. See you tomorrow. Blessed be.